Hey everyone, welcome back to Spill the Storytime. So picture this. You've been seeing someone for a few months. Things are going really well. You're talking about future trips. He's saying all the right things. And for the first time in years, you're actually excited about the possibility of something real. Then, out of nowhere, he casually mentions he's got a 10-day trip to Canada coming up, and a friend from Washington is joining him. At first, you don't think much of it until you start connecting the dots. That friend? Turns out she's his ex-fiancée, the one he barely told you about. And she's not just popping in for a day or two, she's going with him for the entire 10 days. And the way he handled telling you? Absolute mess. Today's story is a perfect example of someone drip-feeding the truth and hoping you won't notice. Grab a snack because this one's a ride. Let's get into it.
I've been seeing a guy for the last 3 months, and we have been getting closer and closer, especially over the last few weeks. He told me he dates with the intention of marriage and has been single for a while looking for the right person. I have been single for the last 8 years, by choice. When I met him, he ticked a lot of boxes, and I decided to give it a go. I have enjoyed myself immensely with him, and have had a lot of fun. And quite frankly, it's been nice to have companionship for the first time in a long time. He invited me to go on a trip with him in September, and I agreed to go, because I felt like this relationship was moving in a good direction. There's a lot of talk of future plans for trips, and the fun things we will do this summer. 3 weeks ago, he mentioned to me that he had an upcoming 10-day trip planned to Canada. He told me he had originally booked the trip himself, but had a friend who lived in Washington, and she was going to come up and meet up with him. I honestly didn't think too much of it, because he was very casual about it, and honestly gave me the impression that maybe she was joining him for a couple of days. He has been married 3 times before, and just last week shared with me that he was engaged about 5 years ago. He had told me in great detail what happened with all of his marriages, but really gave me a very vague explanation of what went wrong with his engagement. Just said things didn't work out. He told me she had moved here from the West Coast when they got engaged, and when they broke it off, she moved back to Washington. I realized in that moment that the person coming to meet him on his trip was probably his ex-fiancée. This development didn't feel so cool to me. He had several other opportunities to let me know that it was her joining him for his trip, but he did not. When I asked him who was joining him and for how long, he said her name, and that she will be with him the entire 10 days. I knew her name because he still had pictures of them together on Facebook. He still didn't say, "It's my ex-fiancée I told you about." When I asked him how he met this person, pretending that I still didn't have any inkling that this was who he was traveling with, he just told me vaguely that they had met through mutual hiking friends. Again, still didn't say my ex-fiancée. To me, this feels completely inappropriate. I understand he may have made plans with her to go on this trip before things progressed with me. However, he could have explained this to me in full transparency. To me, he is lying by omission, and it feels very deceitful and hurtful, quite honestly. I don't know the terms or what may have happened in the demise of their relationship. Maybe he's still hung up on her. I don't know. I sent him a text, letting him know how I felt, and I still haven't heard back from him. He's about to get on a plane and leave for 10 days. And I am disappointed and resigning myself to the fact that I'm going to be single probably for a very long time. I'm most upset about the lack of transparency, because that makes me feel like there's something he is hiding. Update the next day. I sent a text to him telling him calling him out and letting him know I was done. He did respond with arrogance and further underscored why I am all set with this guy. He totally gaslit me, said we had had a clear conversation about it once. We did not. He drip-fed me information until I finally connected the dots the day before yesterday, and he felt that was sufficient conversation, so he didn't feel the need to bring it up again in conversation. Then told me that the stance I was taking on this was disturbing to him. I'm sorry, what now? He is blocked. I'm feeling fine, and just looking at my own part in the story and taking mental notes. Yes, 3 marriages and a failed engagement are definitely red flags, but he didn't speak poorly about any of his exes, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt, probably because I was hopeful there was something good here. Unfortunately, I have had my share of issues with relationships in the past. Not looking to recreate any of that anymore, which is why I am exiting stage right immediately. I unfortunately just met a new version of the same guy I've dated 1 million times before. Luckily, this time I caught it before it went much further. I have dated casually over the last 8 years, but never pursued a relationship. I don't need a man in my life, but it would be nice to have one. However, in the meantime, I am going to continue to enjoy my life that I love and built according to how I want it to be. I do appreciate some of the really funny responses and those of you who reinforced and validated what I was feeling. And thank you to those that also offered kindness. Of course, I see my part in this. And of course, I feel bad that I was so foolish. However, I'm picking myself up and moving on. It was never a question of trying to salvage anything with him. I was more just like, you can't make this up, and how have I become a part of this? Comment: 3 times married and 1 failed engagement. What's so special about this guy that he can convince women to marry him? Apparently, this guy dates with the intention to get married and marries with the intention to divorce.
If you made it this far, you've officially survived one of the most emotional roller coasters on the internet. So tell me, what would you have done in the same situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And hey, if you love stories that hit you right in the heart, smash that subscribe button. It's free therapy, but with better lighting. See you in the next story.